Hey y'all, today we are going to talk about the Abbott World Marathon Majors. If you are like me, you've been looking at these races, you may have even heard about these races, but today I'm going to give you a little information about these races if you are interested in finding out when they're having them in 2021, how you can get into them in 2022 when they're normally held, just a little broad information on each of the 6 races. And then I'm going to do a series in which I'm going to go into detail on each race and hopefully get somebody who has experienced the race to join me and tell us more about it. So I got a lot of good info coming up. It'll save you a little research because I already did it for you. So this is information that you don't want to miss. So stay tuned. Hey, and welcome to Temple Running with MJ Smith. I am MJ Smith. If you are returning here, hey, welcome back and thanks for coming back. And if you are new here, welcome, and I hope to see you back here again. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of the videos that I download on this channel. Anyway, as I said in the intro, today we're going to talk about the Abbott World Marathon Majors. Those 6 huge races that happen every year, all of them very tough to get into. And it's just, those one of those bucket list goals that runners make for ourselves. Now, y'all know that the half marathon is my jam. I love half marathons. I've only really done one full half marathon, and that was during the Dopey Challenge. So I did like 48.6 miles in 4 days, ending it with a marathon. So I've never really done just a marathon. The only time I've experienced it is along with doing a half marathon the day before, 10K before that, 5K the day before that. So what I did gather from my training for Dopey and also from doing the Disney Marathon is that the marathon is not my favorite distance. So with keeping that in mind, I want to limit the amount of marathons I do, but I do want to experience more marathons, but I'm very particular about them. A half marathon, I'm not as particular because half marathons, I can get through that distance. Fulls are just a little more challenging for me, which I'm not afraid of the challenge, but I just don't enjoy them as much. I get to a certain point, usually around the 18-mile mark, and I'm like, I want to be done with this. But I push through it, and I'm always happy at the finish line, aren't we all? But when I learned about the Abbott World Marathon Majors, these 6 races, I thought that was a perfect opportunity for me to get some marathons in and have some fun and reach a magnificent, spectacular goal of being a 6-star runner, right? You get all 6, you get some props for that. These are some challenging races to get into, and then some of them are very challenging in themselves with the courses to do. So it's just great, a great goal to try to reach. And it is a goal that may take you, that will likely take you, I won't say may, that will take you multiple years to do. What I'm saying is for the average person, it's very challenging to get in each of these races. So it's something that have to be a goal that you give yourself several years to reach. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them because a couple weeks ago, I'm going through my Instagram timeline. I follow a lot of you on Instagram, and I'm seeing all these people with their letters. Oh, Chicago Marathon, I'm in. And I'm like, oh man, Chicago Marathon. I would have wanted to apply for that. I was like, I kept telling myself I need to sit down and find out these dates, and how to get in and what the qualifications are and all of that, because this is a goal that I want to set for myself. So I sat down, I did the research, and now I'm here to share it with you. So let's go ahead and get into it. So most of you know, if you're watching this video because you already have some interest in it, that the Abbott World Marathon Majors consist of 6 races, and those races are Boston, Chicago, New York, Tokyo, Berlin, and London. All right, those are 6. So I'm going to start off talking about one of the most famous, which is the Boston Marathon. The Boston Marathon is traditionally held on Patriots Day, which is the 3rd Monday in April. But in 2021, it was canceled in 2020. And in 2021, they're going to hold it on 11 October. They're offering a virtual race option, and because they're only letting about 20,000 people into the race. So we'll start with the world's best known marathon, and that is the Boston Marathon. The Boston Marathon is traditionally held during Patriots Day, which is the 3rd Monday in April, which I already find odd because most races are on Saturdays or Sundays. So you know this must be that race that they get all these people to come out on a Monday to run. So for 2021, they're pushing it back some because, you know, April is just a little too soon. And I think most of the events feel like they have a better chance of having a good event in the fall. So they are moving the April Boston Marathon to 11 October this year. Registration is already closed. Your girl is just a little late for y'all. I apologize because literally registration closed on the 23rd of April. And most likely I'm posting this video on the 24th or the 25th of April. So sorry, I'm just a little late. So hopefully if you were really looking to get into this race, you were able to get in. You have, or at least register, because you have to have a qualifying time to register. And even if you have a qualifying time, it is still possible that you may not get into the race. Not all qualifying times are going to get into the race, but the more you are above the qualifying time, the closer up in the rankings you go. So all I can say is when you're qualifying, try to get as much under that time as you can so that you will move up the list. This year, they're only going to do a field size of about 20,000 participants. Normally, they do over 35,000. So it's almost cutting the race in half. So that just goes to show you it's going to be even tougher than normal years to get in. But there may be less people wanting to get in. I just highly doubt it because runners, we have been ready to go. So we are ready to go. Please open some races. So it's going to be very competitive and a smaller size. So if you don't get in this year, don't be upset and just keep trying and try again next year. Like I said, I'll give you more information about the times that you need to qualify and all that jazz in my Boston Marathon video. But this video, I'm just kind of giving you an overall picture of where they are with the majors for 2021. So moving on to the New York Marathon. New York is huge. It's almost twice as big as Boston as far as field size, and they have over twice as many spectators. So I thought Boston was like, I was like, oh my gosh, there's 500,000 people that are going to line the streets. Like the entire course is lined with people. Well, New York, it's over 1 million people who come out to see this race. That's crazy to me. Like, how can you not be on a runner high? When I am on a race, as soon as I get to the part where there are a lot of people cheering, I get a boost of energy. So I can only imagine what it's like to run an entire course and have people on the side cheering for you. Like, it just sounds amazing. So super excited to hopefully one day be able to run this race. So New York traditionally takes place the first Sunday in November, and they plan to stay on schedule this year. The race is scheduled for November 7th. They have not determined the field size yet because I think they are just trying to see where we are with COVID as we get closer to that time. Registration is supposed to open up for it in June. So if they go by the same philosophy as Boston, they may do, 25 to 30,000 people because normally they have about 53,000 participants. So we will see how that turns out. They have a lot of different options for getting in. Besides, getting a certain time, they actually have a lottery. So you don't have to make the time. You just have to usually sign up for the lottery, or they have a lot of charities that you can run for and get a guaranteed spot. They give a lot of spots to charities. So if you have a good fundraising platform, that might be your way to get into New York. So I do feel like New York is a little easier based on what I've read and what my research showed. It is easier to get in for Boston because, number one, you don't have that qualifying time, because you don't have to get in with the qualifying time. It can help you, but you don't have to get in with that time. That can be a challenge for some runners, such as myself. I don't know if I'll ever have a Boston qualifying time. So it's good to know that that there are other ways to get in if you're not quite to that level of running at that speed. So New York might be one that I will definitely try this year because the option is still open. So I did sign up for the lottery in 2019 and I did not get in, but I'm just going to keep signing up and hopefully one year I will get it. But I am going to start marking my calendar because a lot of times I miss the boat with all these races. So that's why I dug in, did this research. Hopefully you're taking notes and you will start marking your calendars as well. Next, I'm going to stay in the U.S. and move on to one of my favorite cities to run, Chi-Town, the Chicago Marathon. The Chicago Marathon is usually held Columbus Day weekend in October. And I just love Chicago, you guys. I love running Chicago. It's really flat and I hate hills, so that's probably one of the reasons why I love it. I always get good time there. I'm able to get a good groove, a good flow. I just love to run the streets of Chicago. What else can I say? So really excited to try to get into this one. And I know the registration for this one is closed because, like I said, within the last week or two, I saw all of y'all popping up on the page telling me y'all got in. So kudos to those of you who were on your stuff and got registered and got in the lottery or the drawing or the qualifying, however you got in. Congratulations to you. Marathon registration closed out back in February, but normally you could start applying for the lottery in October of the year before the race, obviously, and you would find out in December if you got in. So they did push it up some into February, but they're still planning to have it 10 October 2021. So good luck to those of you who got in and who will be doing that race. Now let's go overseas with it. The first one I'll talk about from overseas, and overseas for me, I know some of you live in Europe, so this will not be overseas for you. But for those of us in the U.S., these are the overseas races. And the first one I'll talk about is the beautiful city of Berlin. I have been there. I have spent the New Year's Eve with y'all in Berlin, and woo, y'all know how to party. That's all I'm going to say. But I did not get the pleasure of running in Berlin when I was there, but I had a wonderful time. It is a beautiful city, lots to see. So I would be very excited to hop on a plane and go for a marathon in Berlin. And I'm even more excited because I heard it's a super flat course. So y'all know how I like my flat courses. And it is scheduled for 2021 for 26 September. And they have already closed registration for that race. So that is the normal time. They always have the race the last Sunday in September. So 26 September will be that for 2021. So they're having that on schedule. I think the fall races got to keep their dates, but some of their registration might have moved back because normally they do it more of the year before. And so you already know you have that race coming up when you come into the new year, but they've had to push it back for whatever reason. Well, for whatever reason, due to COVID and just not knowing whether they were going to be able to have an in-person race. But I think things are looking up worldwide, so that's why we're getting to get some racing in 2021. Normally, registration begins mid-October, so if you're looking at it for 2022, they may go back to their normal schedule. So be looking out for that Berlin Marathon registration in mid-October this year, right after the race is over at the end of September. Good luck to those of you who actually got in. And for those of you looking to get in, such as myself, we will be online in October pushing our names, trying to get into that lottery. Next up, we have Tokyo. And Tokyo is normally a spring race. So, of course, we're pushing it on back. And Tokyo is scheduled to take place 17 October this year. So, when you're thinking about registering for Berlin, Tokyo will be going on. They're all kind of pushed together this year. They're back to back because all the spring ones got moved to the fall. So everything's happening in the fall. Usually I think it's pretty much even. I think there's 3 in the spring, 3 in the fall. This year, all 6 are happening in the fall. So we have Tokyo in 17 October. Registration is already closed for that one as well. Yes, Tokyo closed out at the end of March, their registration. So you have to get ready for next year. So for 2022, if they go back to their normal schedule, registration should start in August. So be on the lookout for August registration for Tokyo if they go back to schedule. The race, hopefully they do the registration in March. In August, race will roll around back on its normal schedule in March. But right now, the 2021 race is happening in October, 17 October. The field size for Tokyo is normally about 35,000. So hopefully they feel comfortable with keeping that size. And for 2022, not sure what they're going to do for 2021, but I guess that is kind of decided because they've already ended the registration and hopefully let folks know whether they got in or not. Well, it just closed out the end of March, so maybe not yet. So they probably still have some time to determine what the field size is going to be for 2021. I wasn't able to find that information, but for 2022, if we're back to normal field size, it's about 35,000. And just remember, these races are very popular, so they're usually looking at letting about 10% of the people who actually registered into the race. So the last one that I'm going to talk about, and I saved this one for last because it's just the hardest one to get into by everyone's estimation, and that is the beautiful city of London, England. London is very hard to get into, especially if you don't live in England. They have very, very little space for international runners. You cannot qualify as an international runner. You have to join the lottery, and you are placed very much at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to that as well. So I'll give more details in my detailed video on the London Marathon. So the London Marathon for 2021 is scheduled for 3 October. It is normally held the last Sunday in April. Another spring one moved on to the fall. So it will be a couple weeks before the Tokyo Marathon this year. And registration was back in October, so sorry for those of you who missed the boat like me. But normally they take applications between April and May. So it may be time right now to go and check out the London Marathon for 2022. See if you can get into that international pot of people they pick from. So normally they have about close to 500,000 applicants, and they take 42,000 for their field size. So not only is it super difficult for you to get into if you don't live in the UK, but it is also very difficult to get in just by sheer numbers. They said the chances of winning the lottery for the London marathon for international folks is in the single digits. And I don't want to be a downer about the London Marathon. Like, I don't want you all to think, but I'm just keeping it real so you understand how difficult it is to get in. So you go into the situation knowing how frustrating it might be. And some of you may already be in this loop. And if you are, tell me about it. Tell me how long you've been applying to this race, and And those of you who got in, tell me how long you applied before you got in. If you're an international runner. If you're a UK runner, you can tell me that too, but it's way more believable that you got in pretty quickly than it would be for one of us. So let's talk about these races. People, please, in the comments below, share your experiences with any of these 6 races. Let me know what your journey has been trying to get to that 6-star finisher status. So definitely let us know what's going on. Let's talk about this, because I'm looking at it and I was all hype about it before I did the research, and I was like, ooh, this seems like this is going to be difficult. But you know what? I'm up for the challenge. Let's do this. Let's do it. So that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully this little tidbit of information will at least get you started, or get you started to dig in your research. I am going to bring you more information on each of these races. It would have just been way too long of a video for me to go into detail about qualifying and charities and all the different stuff that you can do to up your chances of getting into these races. So I got more to come with that. Plus I want to have somebody on who's going to share their experience with you as well. So definitely look for that series to be coming soon. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And also hit that bell so that you know when I upload new videos. I upload new videos at least once a week. At least I try, y'all. About once a week. And I don't want you to miss any of them. So please go ahead and hit that bell so that you don't. Also, if you are not already, come see me on my runner blog. I am on Facebook, Twitter, and IG. And that is where I post daily just about my running journey. I like to follow some of your running journeys. So let's get up. Come see me. Come check me out. And that is all I have for you today on Temple Running, where we are here to help you to enhance your temple, which is your mind and your body, through your souls. Until next time, are you in?